use sparingly in cooking. I've seen people that cook where the oil's floating on the top of the curries, and you just think, wow, you don't need that much. And the other thing that you can think about is the amount of ghee that you use. Ghee is not necessarily bad. It's just how much do you use and how often do you have it. Salt is something that is generally cooking way too much. Salt can result in raising blood pressure. So you have to be mindful of these things. So, what's the difference? I'll go back to this now. So the basis of a healthy diet doesn't change. It's the same no matter whether you have no diabetes, pre-diabetes, diabetes, or you're trying to get into remission. Your diet, the food group pyramid, what you should be eating, doesn't actually change. What does change is how urgent it becomes. So when you're not diabetic, your body is functioning as it should. It's really tolerant to when you give it way too much sugar, carbohydrates, you overeat, you don't move, all of the things that are unhealthy lifestyle. But when you're diabetic, your body is able to cope with it. It's able to deal with it, so you don't really feel any effect. When you go pre-diabetic, you then have to start making changes, because if you don't, you will continue over into diabetes, full-blown diabetes. But the same rules apply with the nutrition. It's just that your body has now become less tolerant to the things that you've been doing wrong. It's less tolerant to the unhealthy foods, less tolerant to the lack of exercise. So the urgency goes up when you become pre-diabetic. If you don't make those adjustments, you can make adjustments, and you can go back to normal, no pre-diabetes. You can actually go back perfectly normal. If you don't make those changes over time, there is a risk that you become diabetic. When you become diabetic, as I said, that's not reversible. You can't cure diabetes. The urgency to control diet, and also now, you're pretty much going to have it controlled by medication when you get into a full-blown diabetes. So it's a combination of medication, but your diet, and the urgency on your diet becomes even higher because your body has got no tolerance to deal with sugar because you become insulin resistant. So you have to be more careful here with your diet, and you have to have medication. If you make lifestyle changes, if you become active, your muscles will start using the sugar that's in there rather than just storing it and being full. You can get your levels down to a normal level. Now, from memory, I think, so when you have an HbA1c measurement, you're looking at less than 42. Less than 42. When you're pre-diabetic, you're looking between 43 and 57. It's 43 and 57. Sorry, no, 47. Sorry, 47. 43 and 47 is pre-diabetic. 48 and above is diabetic. When you are in remission, so if you can actually push your diabetes in remission, the health system is looking for anything below 58 to actually get it right down.
I managed to go down to 38.
Perfect.
I was over 50, 53 or something.
So you've shown it can be done.
Yeah.
You've shown it can be done. The thing is that once you start that journey, you put your diabetes in remission. And I coached a lady who did so well, and she got her diabetes into remission. She was happy. I discharged her. She went wayward again, and she's back to square one. She's back. It's so easy. It's so easy to go back. So this is where the discipline comes in, with the activity, with the nutrition, staying active. So once you can push it into remission, you want it to stay there.
So how low can you go before you start feeling the other effects?
Well, don't forget the HbA1c
Yeah.
is a snapshot over 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
But I coach people who are hypo. They can become hypoglycemic, and you will know when you become hypoglycemic because you're going to go woozy, and you probably won't be able to stand up. And that's when they have to have something like fruit juice pretty quick to actually get their blood sugars back up. So yeah, you'll know instantly if you go hypoglycemic, which is your blood sugar levels have dropped too much, and that can be looked at with the fingerprint test. HbA1c will not give you any indication of hypoglycemia or HbA1c low on the day, because it is a snapshot over 2 to 3 months. I am going to go into the next category, and forgive me. Consequences of diabetes. Who can name them? Long-term consequences of diabetes. Who has foot inspections? Who has eye inspections? Do you know why?
Yeah, you can become blind or you can have gangrene.
And I won't shy away from talking about the horror side of diabetes. I've coached people, and forgive me, I'm going to try and end on a high note, Minnie, but I do want to. Part of my job is to make people change behaviours, and if I have to shock people into changing behaviours, then I will do whatever means, or whatever tools I have in my toolbox. So I've coached people that have got retinal neuropathy, where they're going blind. I was coaching a gentleman who had gangrene and had half of his leg amputated. He came to see me in a mobility scooter. One gentleman had got peripheral neuropathy in his hands and his feet. You don't realise how dependent you are on feedback from nerves in the feet when you walk and for balance. And when those have gone, he couldn't walk without falling over. He couldn't cook his own meals because he would pick hot pots and pans up. Didn't realise his skin was sticking to the pan. You know, and what people say to me is, it's hard. Lifestyle change is hard. You know, being active is hard, but like you enjoy it. Actually, it isn't that hard, but getting started for other people is hard until they start to feel and see the benefits. But lifestyle change is hard. Getting people who are sedentary and they just don't want to be active, getting them to be active is hard. Getting them to come away from the instant junk food, getting people to realise that healthy eating is about making an effort, it's about planning your meals, getting into the kitchen. It isn't about going to McDonald's, it isn't about, you know, it isn't, but it's easier to go to McDonald's, it's easier to phone Deliveroo or whoever, because that's the easy option. To get people to change is really hard. What I throw back at people is, nutrition, activity, lifestyle. Making these changes is really hard, and I don't ever dismiss how hard it is, I know. However, I won't write them down. Retinal neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy, gangrene. You know, living with those is hard. Do you know what you have? You have a choice. Choose your hard. Ultimately, the choice has to be yours. You choose that hard, or you choose that hard. And the other saying is, if you don't make time for your health and well-being now, you really are going to make time for your illness in the future, because you've got no choice. Yes.
Diabetic coma. How people can get diabetic coma? They go diabetic coma.
Diabetic coma is something where it just starts to affect the brain, because it can damage fine capillaries and affect blood flow, and it can affect the blood flow. So the reason you get gangrene and peripheral neuropathy, it's not that the blood doesn't have what it needs, it's just that it can't get to where it needs to go. It can't get to the fine capillaries in the fingers, in the eyes, in the feet, but it can also affect going to the brain as well. I am now going to figure out how I can end this on a high note. What I would finish on is to come back to this. And I do a lot of coaching. Who has heard of cognitive behavioural therapy? CBT. Anybody heard of, hands up if you've heard of CBT? Cognitive behavioural therapy is about changing your mindset, reframing your thoughts, your ideas, what's important. And Stoic philosophy. Stoic philosophy is about choosing, making a choice. We all have choices. We have a choice whether we do something or we don't do something.
Own mind.
We have a choice. The way I'll finish in 2 minutes on this notebook. And this is what I coach everyone. Here's a funnel. I went to visit a family on Monday. I had to do a home visit. This whole family is struggling. And there's me. So there's a health and wellbeing coach. There is a social prescriber from the surgery. There is Mind, somebody from mental health. There is somebody who coaches the teenage son at school. I can't think what the organisation is called. But there's X number of people at this house all giving support, guidance, advice, everything this family needs to be able to change and adopt and adapt to a healthier lifestyle. At the bottom of that funnel is who? You. It's you. And the one thing, the things I say when I start coaching people, there's 2 things I start with. One, I don't have a magic wand. Because people seem to think I'm just going to tell them what to do and eat and exercise and they're going to go away and everything's fixed. It never works that way. And they also seem to think, that I can do it for them. I can't. So, at the bottom of the funnel is you. And it's that effort. But what encourages me here is everybody turns up, everybody exercises, everybody's making such a huge, huge effort. And I love it.
Thank you.
So, we'll stop there. I don't want to go on too much. I could talk about this all day. Does anybody have any very quick questions about diabetes at this stage? Cool. Thank you so much.